Welcome into the Hustle Show podcast, NFL, Army, and Navy. I am Drew Martin, joined by Chris Thurston, Adam Trigger, and Mark Zinno stepping in for Kelly in Vegas as we are breaking down the Army and Navy game. NFL plays for you. Maybe a quick look ahead towards bowl season. Come and join us here on the Chat Box WagerTalk YouTube channel. Also, wherever you're downloading your podcast at. The Hustle Show podcast brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer. VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. Hustle 20 at checkout takes 20% off. Check out WagerTalk.com. Best free live odds in the industry. Going around the horn here, Chris Thurston at CTBet16 on Twitter. Check him out, SportsBat Radio, and right here, 6 o'clock Eastern time on Wednesdays, the Hustle Show podcast. CT, welcome in, buddy. How you feeling?
Tremont Betts, I'm doing well. Glad to be here. Glad Zeno's joining us here, filling in for KIV. We got Army Navy coming up here. It's sad that the regular season for college football is in the books, Drew. We've been talking about it, the past few weeks. It just absolutely flew by. It was a great year. Can't say I'm excited for bowl season. We'll get into that. Excited for the semifinals, the playoffs, and the national championship. But luckily, we do have a few weeks left of NFL, and it's shaping up to be interesting playoffs for the NFL. Cashed some big bets last weekend, so all is good on my end, Drew.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, people were happy in the comments section as well. Got a little bit upset with me in my analysis of the Georgia LSU game, but hey, is what it is. Keep the replies coming, guys. We love reading them. We got Adam Trigger at Top Flight SI on Twitter. Trig, welcome in, buddy. How you feeling?
Feeling good, Drew. College basketball's been going great. I did lose one last night, but otherwise, great start to college basketball season. It's been a great football season. Looking forward to the bowls. They always seem to go well, and I hope they'll go well again this year. May like randomly go to that Army Navy game on Saturday if I can pull it off. My sister lives literally 15 minutes from the stadium, so that'll be a game time decision. But I've always wanted to go. I've never been to an Army Navy game. Always wanted to go, so might just be like a spur of the moment thing for me this weekend. But yeah, looking forward to the weekend. NFL's been good. So yeah, everything's going well over here.
I'm rooting for you, man. Get there, bro. Bucket list type stuff. You'd enjoy it, guys. Follow him on Twitter. Maybe some in the stadium, updates there at Top Flight SI. And a guy that knows a lot about Army Navy. I'm really happy to have him right here on the Hustle Show podcast, but especially this week, a guy that knows Army, Navy football, knows a lot about college football, college basketball, NFL as well. He's a great sports betting personality. You can check him out at Sports Grid. You can also check him out at Pickwise as well. And his name's Mark Zinno, at Mark Zinno on Twitter. Mark, welcome in, buddy. How you feeling?
Drew, it's great to be here with you in this different form. You and I worked together several times before, and, nobody actually fills the shoes of Kelly in Vegas. I'll just hope to, live up to some of the expectation in front of me. But CT, Trig, the reunion in Boston was fantastic. Great to be with you guys once again.
He's an Army veteran, and we're going to get an Army-Navy breakdown for him for sure. But CT, I got to redo my camera here. I'll throw it over to you, man. Big game breakdown or wherever you want to go with this, bro.
Yeah, sure, Drew. I'm going to start with a bowl game, one of the New Year's 6 ones here, and that's the Sugar Bowl. We cashed our big bet last weekend with K-State in the Big 12 championship, Drew. And I've bet this numerous times already. I've bet in bet K-State +6, +5.5, +5, +4.5. Now it's down to +3.5, +4. And I'm going to recommend it again here, Drew. The transfer portal, it's crazy, right? We've already seen as of this Monday, there's been over 1,000 players entered in the transfer portal. Drew, Alabama has been getting into the press by numerous players of theirs entering the portal, including 5 offensive linemen, starting left guard Javion Cohen, probably the most notable one. But they have a total of 11 Crimson Tide players to hit the transfer portal. It also makes no sense for the quarterback, Bryce Young, and stud All-American outside linebacker, Will Anderson, each projected to go in the NFL top 10 draft this upcoming draft here to play in the bowl game. Don't get me wrong. Bama obviously capable of winning this game with the backup Jalen Milroe, but the team's motivation is going to be within question, without a doubt here. We've seen this in the past with Bama on rare occasions that Saban was not coaching in a playoff or title game. His tied teams, they lost in the Sugar Bowl to Utah in 2009 and Oklahoma back in 2014. I can tell you one thing. The Wildcats are going to get up for this game in New Orleans, Drew. They beat TCU to claim the Big 12 title and run their winning streak to 4. And Coach Kleiman will have his players fired up for this opportunity. This is like playing in the Super Bowl for the Wildcats. It reminds me a lot of last year's Super Bowl when Baylor blasted Ole Miss. Bama will be going through the motions down in New Orleans. They don't get up unless they're in the playoff. Play on K-State +3.5, +4.
Love it. Yeah, that Nick Saban, I believe this is the first time he's going to be coaching not in the playoffs, the 14 playoff, right, CT?
Was he not the coach back when they lost the Sugar Bowl to
right,
OU?
They lost 2019. LSU represented the SEC West against Georgia.
Right.
So they didn't make the playoff that year either.
Right. Okay. That's the one I missed. Right. But yeah, it's very rare, Drew. Very rare. And I expect this game to. I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, it's Bama, right? You're going to get the public betting Bama no matter what the day of the game, especially when the line gets down lower and the average Joes out there are saying, "Oh my God, Bama -1, -2 against K-State," and so I expect this to go below 3 very soon. Drew Martin bets.
Yeah. Okay. So that's where you think the lines go. I mean, that'd be great for K-State to end this year, like beating TCU for the Big 12 championship and then beating Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. What an ending there for the Fighting KIVs, man.
And Drew, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I'm going to screw the quote up. But Saban said something along the lines recently of Kansas State. I think he said this on Sunday or Saturday, Sunday, when he was like trying to talk his way into the playoff, saying how TCU lost to a bad team. Okay. And then he doesn't get into the playoff and he draws K-State. You got to imagine that Chris Kleiman and the Wildcats have that all over their locker room. This is the Super Bowl for them. All the Alabama players are worried about if they're going to go pro or if they're going to transfer next year.
No, I love it. I mean, guys in the chat box liking it as well. K-State looks to be a little look here out the gate in the Sugar Bowl. 3.5 can get 4 as well right now. So, yeah, K-State as the underdog. We got Adam Trigger at Top Flight SI. Trig, what do you got for big game breakdown, man?
So, Drew, I'm going to go with a little, quick 3 or 4 pack college hoop tonight because I know we had some people ask about it in the chat. And some of these games are going to start soon. So I figured I'll do this now. I will save my football game for best bets. Real quick, what I'm seeing on the college hoop board, Carrie W. Are we betting Siena tonight? I don't hate it. It's certainly one of the few sort of things on the board that I think is a viable play. They're +6 against Georgetown. I saw it tick down to 5.5. And I will say this, Siena, they played on Friday. They did not cover, but they won against Canisius. 5 guys had the flu. Most of them played, and they just kind of played not a little under the weather. I know they got a couple days off from practice. Everyone seems good to go right now. And, man, Georgetown is not a team that I want to be laying points with right now. Patrick Ewing's a god-awful coach. They find ways to lose games. Listen, I thought the number was a little bit short. I thought I would have liked 8.5 or 9 to really, go after this game. You're not getting the best number, but Siena could very well win this game. They've already beat Florida State, Seton Hall. They covered against Ole Miss. I will say this, guys, they're way better than I expected them to be this year. Coach Carm has the rotations figured out. Javian McCollum is another guy that is probably not going to be on the team in a couple of years. Jalen Pickett is now at Penn State. Javian McCollum is awesome. He'll probably be at a bigger school we will probably lose him after this year. But Siena +6, I think, is a solid play. There's one out west tonight that I think it's an ugly one. It's Merrimack +19.5. A couple games ago, they got Jordan Minor back, and they've managed to somehow get blown out back-to-back games. They get their best player back, one of the best players in the NEC conference. He goes for 21 against Boston University, 25 against Vermont, and they still get blown out in both games. I think that this number is just too way too big here. Listen, San Francisco's a solid team. They're coming off a pretty ugly loss to Utah State, but I don't know if they should be spotting Merrimack 20 here. So I'm going to take the 19.5 there if I'm betting that game with Merrimack. And one other one, another dog. So a little 3-pack of underdogs. I lean, so I'll leave this. I think it might be Kelly's best bet. I like Hawaii, and I know she likes that. I think she might have tweeted it out. Think the Rainbow Warriors are getting a couple too many points against UNLV. It may be her best bet. I'm not sure, but so maybe we'll get some more confirmation on the Hawaii play. But I think that they might be just too big of an underdog against UNLV. So Siena +6, Hawaii plus, I think it's 8.5, Merrimack +19, a little 3-pack of college hoops. And Siena starts in about 15 minutes. So, yeah, that's why I want to get them in now.
Well, Siena Saints action there for Trig going soon, guys. Don't want to wait around to get down on that. And yeah, I saw Kelly saying she liked the Rainbow Warriors in the group chat. So if you're looking for something maybe a little bit later tonight on the college basketball court. Now, Mark, we got you, the Army veteran yourself. You know the college football ranks. Were you going after Army Navy for your big game breakdown, or should we separate that into like its own little middle piece of the show?
No, I'll do that for my big game breakdown.
Okay.
And I could not break down this game without appropriately donning the military cap that I wear. I'm still serving. I got 23 plus years and I'm in the Guard now. And actually that flag you see over my shoulder, that flag was actually flown over the Capitol in my name while I was in Baghdad on my first deployment. So they presented it to me afterwards, so I keep it with me. But
love that.
All right, Army Navy, here we go. And Trig, if you get a chance to go. It is absolutely, like, it's not an aesthetically pleasing good football game to watch, but the pageantry and patriotism make it all worth it. It's pretty awesome, to say the least. Now, when you look at this game, guys, Army's been the better team this year, but Navy feels like the better team as of late. You know, this game opened up in some places that Army is a 1-point favorite to pick them. We're now seeing it move all the way up to Navy -2.5. More on that in a second here. But Army opened up against tougher, more bowl-bound opponents, Coastal Carolina, UTSA, Wake Forest. They lost all those games, but you could say they're battle-tested. The Black Knights finished the regular season winning 4 of their last 6, and their defense toughened up over the last 4 games, allowing just 11 points a game. Now, flip it for Navy. They started out 2-5, but they've covered their last 3. Now, those last 3 games are all against bowl-bound teams, legitimate teams. A 10-point loss to Cincinnati, a 3-point loss to Notre Dame that, you know, had that game, had another 5 minutes left, Navy might have won that thing, and then an upset road win over UCF. So the midshipmen finished the season 7-4 ATS, while the Black Knights are 6-5. Here's the thing. The Army's the better running team and the better offensive scoring team. They average over 300 yards a game on the ground. That's second best in the nation, and nearly 30 points a game. Navy's rush defense, though, is top 5 in the country at 93 yards per game. And the real bugaboo for me, guys, is that Army allows 196 yards a game on the ground. Now, their quarterback, Tyler, has completed 50% of the passes on the season for over 300 yards. It's only thrown 16 of them. But here's my fear, guys, is that the Navy rush defense combined with Army's lack of run defense is going to be a real problem for the Black Knights, and they're not going to be able to slow down Navy. Navy's offense isn't great, but they're good enough to score against a defense that's going to allow 200 yards a game on the ground. I think Army tries to pass a little bit early, maybe loosen up the Navy run defense. If they can complete a couple and get Navy in a negative game script, it's going to pay off dividends to them. If they can't, and Navy's able to control the pace and the tempo, as much as it pains me to say it as an Army guy, like, I fear that Army is the wrong side in this one. I got Navy at -1.5. It's now at 2.5. I'd probably still lean on Navy anything under a field goal. It's a very traditional scoring game, right? Like, you're going to get 17-10. You're going to get 16-13. You're going to get, you know, those kind of numbers scoring. There's not a lot of, like, odd scoring, and teams don't go for 2 all that much. So that's kind of the side. Now, real quick, the total, guys. The total is at 32.5. This is an incredibly low number. Yeah. It has gone under the total for 16 consecutive years. The last time it went over the total was 2005. Now, for those that want to do the math, again, 16 consecutive years. Now, get this. Since 2005, head-to-head matchups between all 3 service academies, Army, Air Force, and Navy, okay, 53 games have gone under a whopping 82.6% of the time, 43-9-1 to the under between service academy games since 2005. I don't think Navy has enough offense to get to 20 in this game. It'll be on Army. I think if Army can get to 20, yes, this thing can get over, and obviously Army's going to cover, but still this feels like an under again to me. I wouldn't bet against it at this point in time. Weather shouldn't be a factor. It'll be cold and windy, but nothing like rain or snow like we've seen in years past. I fully expect the missed field goal, by the way, as well. So add that into the handicap. But I'm going under in Navy on this one, guys, for my big game breakdown.
At Mark Zinno on Twitter. You heard him himself. Mark Zinno, check him out, Sports Grid as well. Mark, great breakdown, man. That was the best breakdown I ever heard for Army-Navy game.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Sure,
I feel like I got to ask you some follow-up questions here. I mean,
Sure.
Looking at the schedules, just kind of glimpse view here, and you kind of mentioned this, Navy's schedule is a lot more difficult. Of course, Navy's in a conference, the American, which is kind of an underrated conference, in my opinion. I mean, they're playing, like you brought up, UCF. They actually beat UCF. They played Notre Dame, Cincinnati, Houston, SMU. And like Army's playing like UMass and UConn. So it's almost like where are we at in, like, let's say, like the last 10 years of this rivalry? Do you know who's winning more games? And
well, Navy went 14 straight years winning the thing, and that's why they have such a decided advantage. Now, Army's won, I think, 4 of the last 6 since they snapped the streak. Right. And I'll throw one more thing at you guys, and this will make you guys scream. And if Kelly in Vegas was here, she would absolutely scream. But I will say this, especially now that the number got to 2.5. I know we don't tease college football, but given these two teams and the fact that the total is at 32, taking Army to plus 8.5 is not a terrible bet. I know we don't tease college, but I'm just saying, if you have an NFL game you like, take Army to 8.5.
I've gotten into an argument with Kelly about this exact thing before. There is so few instances where you could do it, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure we got into this same thing the last Army-Navy game, and I would have to agree because you're still cutting through the two key numbers, and the total is so low. It's like one of the few spots where I think you could potentially do it.
So it was 4 years ago. I think it was 2018 when Jeff Monken had Army at 9-4. They were going to a bowl game and everything else. Army was favored by 7.5 in that game. Okay. And I bet on Army and bought the half point. Final score of that game, 17-10, period. Right. You're just not going to get it. If it's a 2-touchdown thing, it's because it's a blow up in the first quarter and one team is chasing the rest of the way.
Like, there's exceptions to every rule in life, right? Like, there's very, very few times where I would ever say putting a college football game in a teaser is a good idea. But if in this case, if you want to take Army from 2.5 to 8.5, I say go for it. So
I hope Kelly's not watching, and I know she's going to yell at somebody, probably me at some point in time. But it's just not a bad idea given the total and the game and the history of it. It's on your side to take Army to 8.5.
Have no problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, the total.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that either.
Yeah, the total speaks to it in terms of, like, points are going to be at a premium. The market's telling us that. So to tease it, it means more. That's kind of why the NFL is teasable and college football is not. And plus the fact they're going to be running a lot less plays.
Yes.
So it's not, the number actually matters more though, Mark. I was going to ask you from a side standpoint, what it opened Army -1.5, and now it's Navy as high as -2.5.
There's a lot of people going on Navy right now, and they're following the money. Like, if this thing were to get to 3, I'd bet on Army, right?
Yeah.
Like, you just hit that number, I'd bet on Army. Navy could easily win the game by a field goal, but Army could also win the game, period. So if you get to 3, and you might not see it till Saturday, but if you get a 3, I'd jump on it.
It looks like it could be trending in that way. I see a lot of 2.5s juiced here. So
I talked to Kelly about this game earlier, and she told me that she thinks it's going to go to 3. So for what it's worth, I think if she was on here right now, she would probably say that she thinks it's going to go to 3. Just
that's
for
good.
What that's worth.
Maybe there's an echo in here.
Wait, did you just say that? I'm just,
yeah, no, that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
I'm the dope. No one listens to me anyways.
Welcome to the club. Not only the member, I'm also the president.
Hey, Drew, before we go into any other games, I just want to say right now we should make this a deal. Not sure if you guys know this. Next year, this game is at Gillette in Foxborough, Mass. 40 minutes from CT's house. I think the 4 of us should plan on going next year, stay at my house, trash the place, take a limo, go to Foxborough, and see Army Navy. We can put that in right now.
I'm sure the wife will co-sign on trash the place too.
She loves it.
She'll understand. She'll understand.
I'll have to bring more flowers and wine next time.
Yeah, perfect.
I love it, CT. I'm in, man. I'm shaking it. I love how you just like trash the place and then you added in like a limo. You were just like, it was good, man.
Has this ever been at Gillette Stadium? I don't think so.
No, it has. It's been at M&T Bank Stadium. It's been at the Meadowlands.
Right.
Just not Gillette yet.
So I think that would be pretty cool.
And Mark or
awesome.
Trig, I'm guessing you guys would know. How much are tickets? I mean, are they $50 or are they like 500? I don't even know where to begin.
I'll be the resale ones. They're not cheap.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't know. There's so many out there for resale. Like it seems like the prices drop on these as it gets closer to game day.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a feeling that this is the type of my ticket handicap here, Drew, is that a lot of people buy these tickets with the intention of going to this game. And then December rolls around. You got Christmas shopping to do.
Right.
They look at the weather. It's going to be 42 degrees in Philly. And then people say, I'm all right. Maybe next year. So I don't think the tickets are going to be as expensive as they are right now come like Friday or Saturday.
I'd love a good ticket handicap, Trig. I don't know what it is, man. Just handicapping where the price is. I'll even go into games and like I'll go with my girlfriend Donnie and I'll like ask the ticket scalper guy. She's like, "Why are you asking him? We have tickets." I'm like, "I just want to know where the market is."
I do that too. That is classic.
It's like checking out the price of your home, right? You just want to know how much it's actually worth.
Right.
Yeah. Mark, I mean, you've been, right? Like, what do you think the tickets are?
I mean, so I went when it was at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. Now, I was actually there in uniform in a semi-working capacity, but I got to walk around on the sidelines. I mean, it was just awesome to be there, go up to the press box, experience the whole thing. I mean, they did the pregame walk when they're all out on the field. Like, that's the thing about it. Like, you can't just go to the game itself. You got to get there and be willing to spend like 6 hours there to watch all the pregame festivities, because that's really where you get all the sense of patriotism when all the cadets and all the midshipmen are out on the field and they do their chants and everything else, and they line up and they do the drill and ceremony. It's pretty special to watch if you've never seen it.
Yeah, I can't wait. Love watching the game. And it sounds like next year, Gillette Stadium. All right, guys. It's going to be a fun time. So thanks for joining us here, guys. The Hustle Show podcast. We got special guest here, Army veteran Mark Zinno, at Mark Zinno on Twitter. Check him out at Sports Grid and Pickswise, and right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, the Hustle Show podcast, 6 o'clock Eastern on Wednesdays. Adam Trigger, Chris Thurston. I am Drew Martin. Guys, we got best bets coming up. Huge shout out to the chat box. Everybody joining us live. All the VIPs in here. Abby Jackson, Antonio as well. Gary. Nice to have all of you. Feel free to throw out what you're looking to bet. Any questions as well, and feel free to reply below in the YouTube channel, in the reply section. All questions welcome. We'll answer them on next week's show. Did anybody else want to throw out anything before we get to best bets?
Trig, do we have any games that anybody requested here for?
Yeah, I was trying to monitor the chat. Someone brought up Penn State, Michigan State. That's a big basketball. That's one of the bigger basketball games tonight. I broke this one down. Yeah, it's coming up, so I figured I'll just touch on it quick. I like Penn State. I love Penn State this year as a team. But I feel like I'd be having to pay a premium number to back them here. That's my only problem with that game. I think Penn State is awesome. I think they could be an outside, like, dark horse in the Big Ten to potentially win the conference, finish top 3 or 4. I referenced Jalen Pickett earlier in the show. Like, he's a stud. Transfer from Siena. Guy's like a walking triple-double this year. In Michigan State, they're tired. They're banged up. They've played a gauntlet of a schedule. My only issue is 4 seems a little bit much in that game. That being said, Michigan State, they're still banged up. They're still on the road. Penn State's got a nice environment for home games. They're typically good at home. So I lean Nittany Lions, just -4. That's tough. It's a tough to lay -4. But I lean Nittany Lions if you force me to there.
I like Penn State too. And I think Izzo's quote this morning was something along the lines of, "We're dead right now." And I just saw Malik Hall is still in a walking boot and not going to go tonight. I saw the Nittany Lions play in person Thanksgiving weekend. They played Lafayette, but they could shoot the lights out. And Pickett is very good, makes a lot of shots. And it seems like that I forget his name, the coach. It feels like he's doing a good job.
Shrewsbury is a phenomenal coach.
And
he is a phenomenal coach.
The kids really like him and respect him. So I lean Penn State there too. And I did bet them -4 for tonight. So
Drew Martin bets. I'll throw one bowl game out there already locked in. You and I talked about this on Sunday night. Is it the Tax Slayer Bowl? It's the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, Notre Dame in South Carolina. Went to the total here, guys. Opened at 50.5, which is incredibly low given where these two teams are right now. It moved up to 51.5, which is where I locked in. I think it's at 52 now. Look, it doesn't matter who starts at quarterback for Notre Dame, whether it's Drew Pine or whoever it is. They're going to gash the South Carolina defense. In fact, when Notre Dame beat Clemson, I think Drew Pine only threw for 90 yards in that game. Like, they don't even have to throw the ball that much to be able to score and put up 30 against the South Carolina defense. Plus Shane Beamer, Spencer Rattler says he's coming back. You're going to get the full complement of 60 minutes from this South Carolina offense that's been on fire as of late. I think easily both of these teams get to 30. This thing goes way over that 51.5 where I locked in. It's at 52. I think it's still going to continue to move north. So it's the one bold bet I've already locked in.
Like it. Yeah, I can see a lot of points there for sure. Abby asking what Clemson versus Townsend. Any thoughts there, guys?
I like Towson a lot, like as a team. I don't know if this is the best matchup for them. That my only concern is that they're a really good team, but Clemson might not be the best matchup for them. And based on that, I think that number might be a little short. So a very slight lean to Clemson there, but I don't really want to lay 6.5 against what I consider to be a very good team.
Right. Towson's one of the stronger teams in the CAA, but Clemson, it's an athlete thing, Trig. Like,
yep.
They can jump out of the gym, Clemson, and Towson might just get a little bit outclassed in that sense.
Agree.
CT, we have a couple more questions. I have one Baylor and Air Force. Baylor -6, 49.5. Have you had a chance to look at it? I only asked because
didn't you lock that the moment the bowl came out? Didn't you lock that in?
You did? Okay.
Yeah. So I texted Trig. What was it, Monday morning, when I saw I opened 5.5, right? And I tried to bet 5.5, but it was only available offshore. I couldn't get down on it. Then Monday morning, it's 6.5. I texted Trigger right away. He's in New York. I said, we got to bet this right now. That number is way too short. I made the number 10, Drew. Honestly, I think that this is a great spot for Baylor. They get up every year. I told Trig, whether it's the military board, the Cheez-It Bowl, or last year the Sugar Bowl, they love playing in bowl games. They always have. It's a young Baylor team. There's not going to be any opt-outs. And if there's anybody that enters the portal, Drew, it's going to be somebody that didn't have a significant impact on this year's team. Everybody that is able to come back next year with eligibility plans to come back, and I fully expect them to come back. They love Aranda. Chapin's only a sophomore. The wide receivers are really young. Richard Reese, the freshman, who was the Big 12 Rookie of the Year, absolute beast. They're going to get up for this game. I honestly expect them to destroy Air Force by double digits. It went to 7.5 right after Trig and I bet it for like a few hours, then came back down to 6.5. 6. I fully expect this to be over a touchdown by the time it kicks December 22nd. So, yeah, we locked that in, Drew.
I like it, CT. Yeah, I wanted to ask you because I almost feel like going up against the military academy, especially a team like Baylor, that much preparation time for the option. It's almost like you could get out in front of the market move as long as the team's motivated. If they're not, they could get ran through. So, yep. No, like to have that inside information there.
Hey, Andrew, I got an email right before we went on this show. Baylor has already sold out their allotment of tickets. So they travel well. The fans are insane. They, it gives them a reason to party a couple days before Christmas. The fans, they will be there. The place will be very, very loud for the Baylor faithful.
Drew, Scott Eddie goes, do you live with Steve Merrill? Same exact background and piano. The inside joke is this is Ski Prophet's living room. He was the one using this first. Someone asked Kelly if she was in Ski Prophet's living room on one of the things. This is the stock StreamYard. It's like one of 3 options. The other one's a brick wall. So you either got this sweet ass living room back here with a piano or a brick wall or like an alley. I like to be in the living room and the piano, which I could play. By the way, I took piano lessons for 11 years. Little known fact.
That explains a lot.
That does explain a lot.
Anything on the Raiders and Jaguars games, guys? We got Lonnie here.
I don't think they're playing. First of all, the Raiders. Wait, CT Bets, don't you like both of those games?
So I don't. I think he meant to say what?
Raiders and Rams, right?
Right. So that's tomorrow night. That's the
Sunday.
Thursday night game.
The Rams have become increasingly. I mean, the Raiders have become increasingly way too public for me. It should be the right side, especially if Baker Mayfield starts. But I can't back it when it's this public.
I bet the Rams.
I don't blame you.
I don't blame you. Like just when you think you could trust the Raiders, you probably can't.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, is it difficult getting behind the Rams?
Rams should have won last week. Rams should have won.
They're stuck in their first losing season in 6 years under McVay. They did play a lot better last weekend. They had that game won for Seattle. I don't know. That all being said, I think McVay and this Rams, I don't think he's going to let them keep losing and just getting embarrassed. They're 3-9. I think it's a nice sell high spot for the Raiders and a buy low spot for the Rams. I won't be shocked to see the Rams win this game tomorrow night.
And everybody gets back on the fire Josh McDaniels wagon.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say the Rams are certainly on my short list for NFL this week, and the Raiders benefited. The Chargers had 3 offensive linemen out in that game, and they were really able to get after Herbert, which is, I think, really the reason they were able to win. Otherwise, I don't know if they beat the Chargers, and I certainly don't think we're sitting here talking about Raiders -6 had they lost last week. So I think there's a lot of value on the Rams.
Yeah.
I agree with your sentiment, Mark. The Raiders were the side for me in the Thursday night game. Thanks for asking the question there, Lonnie. But it's moving a little bit here. Now we're starting to flirt with a touchdown. And to your other one, I read it as you were asking about the Raiders and the Jaguars game, but I'm not really sure. I do like Tennessee, actually, against the Jaguars.
Tennessee needs to win badly. They're not going to lose.
Yeah.
Vrabel's not losing 3 in a row. Derrick Henry has run for 130 yards on the Jaguars defense in 3 of his last 4 games. Like, this is a Tennessee get-right spot if there ever was one. I hate the 3.5, but still, I have to trust Vrabel in this spot.
Yeah, and it's been bumped up to 4 now at most spots, too.
Trevor Lawrence is dealing with an injury. Trevor Lawrence is dealing with an injury.
He got pulled over last week, too, yeah.
And it looks like we just got one more question here. The Lions game people were asking about. If
save that one, Drew. I'll hit that one.
All right.
In best bets. Yeah, save that.
Like it, guys. Thanks for all the questions in the chat box.
Drew,
again, feel free to reply below in the reply section. We'll answer them next week as well. Yeah, go ahead,
Drew. Real quick, someone asked about Dolphins Chargers. That was it. That was in there as well. I think just wait and see who has the healthier offensive line, because both offensive lines were really banged up last week. I'm willing to say whoever has the healthier offensive line by game day wins that game. I think it's as simple as that. If the Chargers roll in with multiple O linemen out again, they're going to have a really tough time. They don't run it very well. The Dolphins are very good against the run. And but if the Dolphins have a bunch of offensive linemen out, you're probably going to get good value on the Chargers. So that's my sort of take on that. It's a primetime game.
I'll take the Dolphins. They're going to be swimming in the Atlantic and the Pacific. They're staying out west all week. I think it kind of builds up the locker room. Tua 11-0 versus teams 500 or worse. We know how accurate it is when he has time. The Chargers defensive line, I don't think is very good. I think the Dolphins are the side at -3 guys still available. So that's the way I was looking to go Sunday Night Football. Adam Trigger, Chris Thurston, Mark Zinno here at Mark Zinno. Mark, we got best bets coming up, man. I want to give you a chance for any final thoughts, though, as well. An Army veteran, we appreciate you stepping up, stepping in. So have at it, man. If you got a best bet and any final thoughts for the show.
All right, best bet will go to the NFL here and stay in a divisional games. A lot of divisional games this week. And just remember, divisional dogs this year covering at a 62% clip. And I'll take one as the Jets take on the Buffalo Bills here in a little bit of a revenge spot for Buffalo. But still, this is way too many points for a Buffalo Bills team this year that's failed to cover as more than a touchdown favorite against the Jets earlier this year, the Lions, and the Packers. You know, I mean, the Jets will have their defense ready to go in this game. You get Sauce Gardner against Stephon Diggs. That sort of neutralizes things. If it wasn't for Matt Ryan, Josh Allen would have the most interceptions in the NFL. And while they're not predictive, I would still think that the Jets would be opportunistic enough to be able to keep this game a lot closer, grab a turnover when they need to. Look, what do we know about Mike White? To this point, he's been fairly clean, hasn't made a ton of mistakes. That may be enough for the Jets to keep this thing close. It's not like the Bills defense all of a sudden has been playing fantastic. They gave up 25 to Detroit. They gave up 23 to Cleveland. They gave up 30 to Minnesota. I think all those offenses are better than the Jets offense, but still, this Bills defense can be had. You have a bunch of injuries there as well. I'll take the 9.5 with the Jets here for my best bet this week.
Jets as the underdog for Mark Zinno. Mark, you said not predictive being the interceptions. You don't think they're predictive at all? Like if a quarterback throws a lot of interceptions, he's more likely to throw them in the future?
I mean, I can't say I'm going to count on a turnover for it. I mean,
right.
The way the Bills cover this one is if they get a defensive touchdown and Mike White throws a couple of picks. Like that's how they get free points out of this, that their offense isn't going to score. It's not like the Bills offense has been operating on all cylinders. I know we associate the Bills, who, oh, by the way, this year are 4-8 against the number, with putting up a lot of points, and they can, but it just hasn't been the case for them the better part of this year. So I think the Bills win, but I'll take the Jets to cover.
Plus 9.5 across the board here for Mark Zinno's best bet. We got Chris Thurston at CTBet16 on Twitter. Check him out, Sports Map Radio, right here on the Hustle Show podcast. Any final thoughts here, CT? And what do you got for best bets?
Final thoughts. Zinno, good friend of ours. Thanks for your service. Thanks for filling in tonight. Always a pleasure. Let's cash some tickets this weekend. The reason why I didn't hit on that Jags game at Titans is it's my best bet. So this Jags team, absolutely hysterical to me. They're hysterical. I'm guilty of backing them last week as a minus 1.5 point favorite in Detroit. I'm ashamed of myself. They get absolutely blown out. I think it's fucking hilarious every week. They come in. Oh, the Jags.
Every week.
The Jags.
Every week.
So ridiculous. I'm so over it. That's what the Jags do. You saw it last weekend. They get blown out. The Jags, 1-22 straight up road team that needed to win the game to cover last weekend. How foolish of me. We now get some news today, like Trig was saying, on the trigger man, Trevor Lawrence. Didn't practice today. Called him Peterson called him day to day. He's unsure if he'll be able to go on Sunday. The 7-5 Titans team, they've been streaky. Looked like they were turning the corner a few weeks ago when they went on the road and won in Lambeau. They've dropped 2 straight, like Zinno said. This should be a get right game for them. Last 2 losses, Cincy at home, and then last week we saw them get blown out on the road in Philly. I did give out Philly, so that was nice for me. But Henry, he, like Zinno said, he was non-existent last week versus Philly. 11 carries for 30 yards. I expect him to have a big game this weekend. Shred that Jags D. The Titans, they're 6-1 against the spread versus the Jags at home over their last 7. I expect that to improve to 7-1 this Sunday. I'm going to take the better team at home this week in division with Mike Vrabel back against the wall, desperate to get his team off the stride and get a win here. I played on the Titans minus 3.5. Best bet, Drew.
Like it. CTBet16 on Twitter. We got Trig for best bets, but Trig, mine goes at 7:00. Want to give the people enough time to put it down. Going a little bit off the board here. Alabama State and North Alabama. Big battle in the state of Alabama. North Alabama Lions 6-1 to the over so far this season. Love these trends right out the gate, guys. I know it's not a big sample size, but still. Alabama State Hornets, they're giving up an average of 80 points per game. So I think North Alabama is going to score a bunch of points, maybe like 90 plus. And when we're betting an over, well, maybe not 90. Maybe 90 is a little bit too much, but 80 plus might put us looking real pretty for this total of 145. So I think North Alabama, the better, stronger team, they control the pace, and they're looking to go up and down the court. So we should get a bunch of possessions. Think this finishes, like 82-75, something like that. Up and over 145, Alabama State and North Alabama for my best bet tonight going in 20 minutes. We got Adam Trigger at Top Flight SI, WagerTalk.com. Trig, what do you got for final thoughts and best bets, man?
Drew, my final thought is that you never promote yourself, and I want to give you a quick chance. Tell everyone what your college basketball record is over like the last 30 days right now.
Oh, I don't have it up, man, but I'm seeing it well.
I know what I know. Like a day ago or 2 days ago, it was 24-9. So props to you. That is an insane run.
Thank you.
That's essentially the season so far. I mean, really, it's about 30 days into the season. So shout out to you, killing it, college hoop so far this year. And my second thought is, I just realized that I'm gonna end up getting in a fight with CT Bets in like a day or two as to which short underdog is the better choice for a survivor pick, because I love the Detroit Lions this week, and we are real slim on options. And he likes the Titans. I like the Lions. They're both like right in that range, right, of like kind of short underdogs. But I love the Lions. It's a 4% play for me, Drew. I missed the initial move a little bit, so I gave this out minus 135. And I'll be honest, had I got in earlier or had this not move as quickly, I would have made this a 5% play if I could have got, let's say, -1. When it moved to 2.5, what I decided to do was just go with the money line, scale it back to a 4%, that way my risk amount was sort of in line with where it would be on a 5% play. I love the Lions in this spot. They should have won the first meeting between these two teams, in my opinion. They were leading into the fourth quarter and blew the game late, but it was the game where Amon-Ra St. Brown got hurt. I believe Swift also left that game with an injury. And this is really, so it was right around the time Lions played the Patriots where they didn't score a point. It was just a horrific performance. They could barely field a team. I think it was like they didn't even have like a starting receiver. This team got murdered by injuries earlier this year. They've slowly gotten healthy to the point where they've gotten, pretty much back to full strength. CT referenced it earlier. They just blew the Jaguars out of the stadium last week. Swift ran all over them. He looks great. The Vikings. I saw something. I don't know who tweeted this out earlier. I thought this was wild. If you reversed every one possession game,
Vikings be 1-11. Yep.
The Vikings would be 1-11. Listen, there's something to be said for winning close games. But the Vikings, in my opinion, have been as fortunate as any team in the league this year. Whereas the Lions really were very unfortunate with the injuries early in the season. I think the Lions are the better team here. Like, I'm not talking like the better team this week. I think it's very possible the Lions are just a better football team than the Minnesota Vikings right now that they're healthy. The offensive line has been great. Goff has had time to throw. The Vikings are just a very kind of vanilla team for me. I don't think they're going to get a ton of pressure on Goff. I think the Lions win this game. I love the Lions in this spot. 4% play for me. Best bet.
Got it. DraftKings showing -135. Bet online offshore.
Love that.
-138.
If you get -135, take it, because I think it's going to more like -150, and I would not be surprised if this hits through.
I like it, Trig. All right. Detroit Lions.
Let me throw one more nugget out there for you guys, just in case you haven't heard this. By the way, Tom Brady, if you notice this week, is a dog. Tom Brady is a dog in his career, covers the spread over 70% of the time. And when he's off an ATS loss, he's up near 77% of the time. Now, he's going against one of the best defenses in the league, but hard to bet against Tom Brady when he's catching points.
I lean Bucks.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's that out of there.
I bet him already versus Mr. Irrelevant. It's going to be a tough game. As good as the Niners are, it's going to be a tough game. You got to imagine Brock Purdy getting a little bit nervous playing the GOAT. Got to think about that all week long.
Purdy wasn't born when Tom Brady started his career.
Yeah.
I think he's the first Mr. Irrelevant to throw a touchdown in a game.
He probably is. I wouldn't be surprised. So. Yeah. He, don't get me wrong. I had the Niners last week. He did a good job managing the game and coming in and make sure they won that game.
Yeah, but now, like you said, like they're going to have a week to prepare for him. All I know is every time I needed Brock Purdy to do something for me when he was in college, he threw like 4 picks and I lost. So,
he wasn't good for me either.
Good show, boys.
Yeah, great show. Huge shout out to Mark Zinno at Mark Zinno on Twitter. Check him out Sports Grid picks wise as well. We got CTBets16 on Twitter. Chris Thurston, Adam Trigger at Top Flight SI. I am Drew Martin, brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer, vivatequilaseltzer.com. Hustle20 at checkout. That's Hustle20 at checkout. Takes 20% off your order, gets shipped to you. Check out WagerTalk.com. Guys, a lot of free plays up there. Feel free to tail them. Feel free to fade them, whatever you'd like to do. And also, the best free live odds in the business. Check it out, wagertalk.com, live odds screen, NFL, college football, NBA, whatever you're looking to bet, it is all up there, college basketball as well. So that's going to do it for the show. Again, huge shout out to Mark Zinno, Army veteran. Thanks for your service, Mark. One of the best Army-Navy breakdowns I've ever heard, guys. So go back, rewind. He is betting the game and telling you why. So, for Chris Thurston, Adam Trigger, Mark Zinno, I'm Drew Martin. Thanks for tuning in. Please smash that like button. Cash those tickets.
Cash them.